Hi, welcome back to the Photoshop video series, and in this part we'll be learning the technique of dodging and burning. So what does that technique exactly mean? So dodging and burning is a very old technique which was used during the film days when people used to develop their shots, and it basically refers to adding some amount of depth to your shots. And how you do that is if you see this image and if you notice the bright areas in this image, that means where the light was falling. So those are referred to as the highlights, and the other parts where they're bound to be shadows, right? So they're highlights and shadows. Now if you could deliberately make the highlights more stronger and the shadows more stronger and add a bit of contrast to your image, it just adds a certain amount of depth to your shots. So you actually have two tools which are called as dodge and burn. So I can see this is, sorry, not this one, here. If you access this icon, you have the dodge tool and you have the burn tool. So the dodge tool, basically what it does is it adds it's going to brighten up things, and the burn tool darkens things. So these tools can be used for dodging and burning, though we're not going to use these because they are just not very convenient to use. So I'm just going to show you a very quick way to dodge and burn, right? So I'm not using these tools because it's just too manual and too tough and takes too much time using these tools. So first of all, you should just see an image after you've dodged and burned it. So what we're trying to achieve. So if you see this image here, just compare it. If you compare this photo, to be frank, already had a good amount of depth because it had good lighting and we had a good makeup artist. So that's what makeup sometimes does. It adds a good amount of depth to the person's face. So this already had, but still, if I wanted to go one step further and if I use dodge and burning, I can end up with something like this, which is kind of slightly more dramatic. So I'll be showing you two more images after this. So dodge and burn is something you don't have to absolutely do, but sometimes I've just seen that it gives that depth which looks good. So how do you actually do this? So what you do is, and you will have to kind of mug up this because it's very technical, but it's very simple. It just involves like 3 steps. Okay, so what you do is basically you create 2 duplicate layers. Right, so something similar to what we did with frequency separation, but this technique is slightly different. So what you want to do is on the first, so just hide the top layer for now and just come back to the middle layer, the first duplicate layer. And what you want to do is, this will be the bright image. We're going to brighten this image to increase the highlights. So what you do here is go to the blending mode and change it to screen. So whenever you change something to screen, it's just going to brighten up like this. Okay, and then what you do here is just follow, you can just follow from the next image onwards, which I've shared with you, which I'll also be editing quickly, just like this. So what we'll have to do is you have to open the layer mask, and once you have the layer mask, automatically the layer mask is selected like this. And then what you do is you go to image, you go to apply image, make sure the layer is set to merged, channel RGB, and blending multiply, and these are default settings of apply image most of the times. So you just click on OK then. So you can see it has affected our mask here, and you don't really have to understand what it's doing. So, and similarly for the second image here, we're just going to unhide this, and this is going to be the dark image. So we go to blending modes here and we go to multiply. So this is going to darken the image, and then we open the layer mask and just go to image, apply image, and this time everything remains the same. Just you see this option called invert, just select this. So this is for the darkening part of our image, right? So you got these two. Then once you've done this, what you have to do is just select both of them by pressing Control, and then press this group icon to group these together, and then create, after you've grouped them, just create a layer mask on this group, and then do the same thing again with this layer mask selected. Go to image. So I know this all is pretty technical, but just mark this up and remove the invert one. So we're going back to the default setting for this, and we're going to press on OK. So once we do this, if I just show you before and after, that's it, the process is done. So let me just show you how this changed the image. So you can see this kind of was slightly looking flat, but the moment I do this kind of adds a bit of depth to this image. That's what we achieved here. So let's try this with our own image, which I've shared with you. So if you remember, we edited this image in the frequency separation video. So this is after we have edited it and we have smoothened the skin. Now it's the time. Now you can see this image, I think will definitely is a better example for dodge and burn, because you can see the lighting here is pretty much flat. So this can use a bit of dodge and burn technique. So let's do the same thing. So we're going to create 2 duplicate layers. Okay, hide the top one, go to the middle one, change the blending mode. So we're going to brighten this. So go to screen. So you can see this brighten up. Then open the layer mask. With the layer mask selected, which is by default, you go to image, apply image. So leave everything like this and just click on OK. Similarly, just go to image. Just change the blending mode to multiply. So this is for the shadows and the dark areas. And open up the layer mask, go to image, apply image, and this time just invert it. Right, once these 2 steps are done, we select both the layers, group them, and then open a layer mask for the group. And go to image, apply image, and remove this invert, go back to the default, and we've added some good amount of depth to the shot. So let's compare it with the original. You can see this, the face looks pretty flat here, and this has just that bit of depth where the bright areas have become brighter and the dark areas have become darker. Now let's say suppose you like this effect and you want more of it, then what you can do is just duplicate group, just basically do it all over again, just duplicate it. So you'll see that now the effect has basically doubled. So if I hide this, this was the effect of one, and this is the effect of the second one. Let's say we want to do it just one more time. So can duplicate it again, and this has increased it. So then what you can do is you can kind of just group these all together. So group the groups, and so this itself has 3 groups. And now what you can do is, suppose you later on realize, okay, maybe I've overdone my dodging and burning. That's no problem. You can just reduce the opacity of the group also. So if I do it all the way, this is our original, and let's say I can stop wherever I want. And if I wanted even more, then I could have multiplied more groups, but it's always under your control thanks to this opacity slider. You can never make a mistake, right? So you can see with the original we added a good amount of depth, and it just looks more dramatic, right? So you can apply the same a lot of images. You don't have to do it, but it just sometimes looks pretty dramatic. Like for example, when you're shooting fitness people and they have all these nice muscles, abs and all, so it never harms to add some depth to it through this technique. So I'll just quickly do this. So this time I'll be really quick because now you know it, so you can follow it. So I'm just going to hide this. This is screen, so it's going to brighten them up. Image, apply image. Okay, go here. Multiply to this, go back to apply image, choose invert, and group them together, create a layer mask, image, apply image, remove the invert, and boom. So you can see we've added a good amount of depth to his body. It's looking more 3D now, and I think in this case we can really go overboard. So I'm going to press Ctrl and J with this group selected. So if you remember from the earlier videos, Ctrl and J is the shortcut to duplicate. So I'm going to duplicate it 5 times. Let's see a really strong effect. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's do it 7 times in fact. Okay, and then I'm just going to group all these groups together. Grouping the groups. Okay, so now let's just compare it to the original. So you can see this is a huge difference here, and this definitely looks better and more dramatic than the original. And of course you have the control here. So let's say if you didn't like it too much, well, maybe this much is also not bad. So this is referred to as dodging and burning. Makes your images look more 3D, gives a kind of a dramatic depth to them, which always can look good. You don't have to always do it, but this is just one of the techniques. So I hope you like this video, and see you in another part. Bye for now.